Hello and welcome to Primal Coding. Today is a video, a little educational video. I want to break down how I practice primal coding, how I work one-on-one with people, what are the principles that I use to determine what exercises to use, what method to use in helping and assist this person in finding their blind spots, mentally, physically, usually through the physical body, right, through the breath. And we're going to be using this, it seems like a lot, I'm going to break it down, to kind of break down all these different specific breathing exercises that people talk about. I've had, a comment on one of my videos saying, actually, this is Kapalabhati breathing, but it's actually with the mouth closed, and so what they're saying is it's a different breath. But we only know these certain points of breath, and for me, from that, I've explored outward using these principles. So somebody asked me the other day what my go-to breathing pattern was. And I actually had a hard time telling them a specific pattern because I've ingrained so many patterns, so many whether it's external movement patterns, right? This is the same principle, but so many breathing patterns that when I close my eyes, I start to have a conversation. So I bleed in and out and transition in and out of specific breathing patterns based on what I feel that I need, the area or chakra or part of the mind or body that I want to access, a certain state of mind I want to access. So this whole symbol is part of this symbol here. So this is alchemy, an ancient art of alchemy. And I think that term is tossed around like many others are, and it dilutes what it really is. And alchemy is, people are using it as a way to describe transformation. Alchemy is an art of transformation, but when you're really truly doing alchemy, the outcome is transformation, and you're using principles to do that. You're not just labeling what you do alchemy. Side note, okay, and coming back. So this is, I'm going to read from my computer, pardon me, the hermetic seal of light. Okay, we're going to go into physical stuff in just a moment, some more applicable stuff, but stay with me. Quintessence, so hermetic seal of light. Based on the ancient Pythagorean philosophy, the symbol of quintessence is considered to be the synthesis of alchemy, and also referred to as the hermetic seal. It contains the triangle, the circle, right, and the square that represent the spirit, soul, and body, and all the elements essential for alchemical transformation. So I'm going to break that down. When I'm talking about the nervous system, I break the nervous system down into three parts, represented by the triangle. Immobilization, right? This like deep parasympathetic state. Mobilization, fight or flight. And what the polyvagal theory calls safety, or this space where we flourish and where we heal and where we learn and when we can hear, this parasympathetic state. But remember, the parasympathetic state actually has two branches, which is, if you want to go to the polyvagal theory, please, research is there and the reading's there. I can definitely do another video on that. So when I'm working with the breath, which is the square within it, I'm using these principles to break down and understand my reality, ultimately, right? And how to transition between these three states of the nervous system. And they actually break it down to material world and spiritual world. And if I'm stuck in the material world, I'm stuck in immobilization because of fear, and mobilization because fight or flight, I'm running, I'm working, whatever. But when I'm in safety, that's where I can access this creativity and the spirit aspect of myself. All right, so let's talk about the square. So let's kind of take a magnifying glass and zoom into this structure, right? as principles. So I talk about the 4 corners of the breath a lot. The 4 corners are different than the box breath, okay? So the box breath is a pattern that I apply to the 4 corners. So the inhale, the hold, the exhale, and the hold. And the box breath gives us this space or gives equal attention to each side of the breath. So inhaling 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. It gives us the space to observe what is happening. And it tells me a lot. I'll tell you what. The more box breaths I watch and see in people, the more I can tell about their personality. It is quite beautiful. So I'm actually, as I look at this, I'm going to erase these elements because I think it's a lot. And it's not going to apply to what we talk about today. So I want to break this down and then I'll talk about it. So these are the 4 knobs that we can control when we work with the breath. And this can apply to movement patterns too, because it's a principle, right? A principle way of dissecting something, reality, right? For me, it's breath. We can adjust these, and it's represented for breath as speed, which would be breaths per minute, so the rate. Volume would be liters per minute, or maybe the amount of air that you are able to breathe. So there's a couple different ways to measure volume, but it's in liters, okay? And then force is strength of contraction. I'm still curious what the force would be on the inhale. Like, side note, this is the first time I'm really teaching this, and kind of I've constructed it in this way, and I've kind of been applying it, and that's why I'm ready to share it with people. So I've definitely been applying it. But force, again, strength of contraction. Am I gently engaging my core, or am I like that's a more forceful exhalation? Maybe a softer inhalation, or a more drawn in, there's more contraction, right? So that made me sweaty just doing the inhale. So we got length, and length could be time. So I inhale 50% of what I feel I'm able to inhale. So a half breath in a short amount of time, or a fast amount of time, or a long amount of time. So 5 seconds, I inhale 50%, or do I take my time and inhale that for 10 seconds? Okay, so what's the length of the breath? That's how I'm kind of constructing it. So again, when I use this for my clients, I'm looking at what combination of turns and twists of the knobs are they running on? What are the most common patterns that they have in their body, and how is that affecting their personality? And is affecting their physical body, and that maybe the tension that's held, and how can we release that? And usually it's by finding the opposite pattern. So let's take the ever popular Wim Hof breath, or a sympathetic breathing pattern. Okay, there's many different under that branch of breath, but Wim Hof would be in fast, high volume. With the inhale, there's force. With this, it's a soft, passive exhale. In a short amount of time, you're going to inhale large volume. Boom. But let's go all the way to the other side, the very quiet buteyko method from Russia. Small volume, very little force, slow speed. And the breath itself, the cycle of breath is very small, short amount of time to go through this cycle. So as you can see, I guess I can stop whispering now. I can take these specific breathing patterns that people practice. Breath of fire, okay, is another one. I can take them and I can twist the knob. So breath of fire would be speed, and each breath is a small volume, and the length of time, the breath cycle is short, and there's some lighter force, right? If you know my core activation breath, that would be a more forceful breath, or the cannon breath that I teach. Again, when I teach these patterns, I'm not trying to say like these are the patterns that you have to practice. They're reference points that are kind of spread out so that you can practice them and then start to determine and see variations of of these patterns. So yeah, that is the principles, the principle that I use, or the structure that I use to break down the breath. So I ask you to take a breathing pattern that you know and apply it to this structure, this foundational thing, I don't even know what to call it, this alchemical symbol, I guess, and play around with it. I want to also, though, let you know, when you play around with these, you are adjusting aspects of yourself. You are adjusting your physiology. So be cautious to not fire into something too quickly. Notice, practice a pattern for a few days, and practice at this specific setting for a few days, a week, a month, and see how it changes. If you are randomly just throwing out different patterns and being sporadic, guess what? So will your life, so will your nervous system, and you will be. So be careful. I do offer consultations if you're interested in finding out where your blind spots are and what turn of the knob would be most advantageous for you. And I think that this is the key to the healing that people are looking for. It lies within themselves. I'm not going to do that for you. You can see somebody outside of yourself to do a healing or a massage or acupuncture, and absolutely that is part of the healing process. But to complete it, I have to be the glue, and I have to do my work in order for those methods and those things to really take a hold of my body and allow and assist me in the realignment of myself. And realignment meaning not this perfect alignment that we're searching for, but an alignment that fits us, that suits us, so it allows us to relax into our reality and be truly resilient. Because resiliency is what I'm going for. Being able to bounce back. No matter how far from this center and this homeostasis that I go, there is always a way back to that state of safety and that aspect of myself. And I don't know about you, but I'm trying to live to 150, 200 years, so you better be getting on this. Anyways, and that's where I'm going to end. There's more videos to come. I can talk about the 4 volumes of the breath, and then the 7 chakras and how I apply specific breathing patterns to each of those areas to search in those areas. So much more to come. Thank you for joining me today. Please comment below. I'm sure you will. This is all up for discussion. I have applied this. This is how I broke it down, but what do you guys think? What do you think would fit better in some of these aspects, or how have you been able to apply this in your life without even realizing? So, all right, thank you, and I will see you soon.